The most important thing in communication is hearing what is not said. Good morning and welcome to Transform Your Life in 15 Minutes. My name is McAdams. I'm an author. I'm also an accounting professor and a certified life coach. I specialize in personal and small business finance and also fitness. I help people reach their goals. And on this morning's live segment, we're going to be doing 5-minute exercises, one each for your mind, your body, and your soul. All right, so I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this live broadcast, and for those of you that are watching the recording. Today's short talk is going to be about communication. Communication, geez, I tell you, being able to communicate effectively is one of the most important life skills that you can have. Okay, it's the way that we exchange information from one place to another. You know, it's where we accurately try to convey our thoughts and our intentions and also our objectives. Now, when it comes to response, I want you to understand that there's only two types of responses that you can receive, okay, that can be received from a communication. One is a loving response, and then the second one is a cry for help. Now, think about this for a moment, okay? Two types of responses. One is a loving response, and another one is a cry for help. All right, so when you're communicating with someone, if you receive something, a response of one that's other than of love, then ask yourself, like seriously, ask yourself this question. What is going on with this person that's making him or her treat me this way? Okay? Like whenever you're going about your daily transaction with people and they're responding to you in one of that's coming from one other than of love, ask yourself that question, okay? And this is going to help you keep yourself in a loving environment so that your response can be your response to the response can be one of one from love in return. All right, so keep in mind that it's all based upon interpretation. So the interpretation that the person's receiving from you, like when you're communicating, the interpretation is based upon two things, okay? Their interpretation is based upon two things. Number one of two things I should say. Number one could be their own mental state, okay? So in other words, their response to you, it could be based upon the mental state that they're in. It has nothing to do with you, all right? So that's why it's important for you to ask yourself that question. You know, what's going on with this person that's going to make him or her treat me this way? All right, so their mental state is one of the things that can be happening. Or number two, it could be their interpretation of what you communicated and sometimes what you didn't communicate. All right, did you get that? I know it's early in the morning, right? But it kind of ties back, it ties back to a talk that I had a while ago when I talked about how we process information. You know, those 2 million bits of information, we only process 128. And so what happened to those remaining millions of bits of information? Three things happen. Information, before we actually interpret what's going on in our mind, the information that we process is going to either be generalized, distorted, or deleted, okay? So keep in mind that when you're receiving a response from someone, you don't even know what they're responding to, okay? They could be responding to something that has nothing to do with what you said. So that's why it's very, very important that you be patient and you ask yourself that question. What could possibly be going on with a person? Right? So I get it. It's all very complicated. Like seriously, communication can be very complicated. But today I'm going to offer you 3 transformational tips that's going to help you to respond and keep yourself calm, serene, so that you can respond in loving ways. In other words, your response to their response. So keep in mind, like for instance, what I'm saying is this. Let's say that you're communicating with someone and they're angry at you for whatever reason. Okay, you don't know why. You don't want to respond back with anger because that's another cry for help, right? 2 cries for help is just going to lead to more cries for help, and the communication is going to go out the window. So today's transformation tip is going to help you stay in a calm, serene, peaceful place so that when you respond to their response, which is one that wasn't a cry for help, which was one that was a cry for help, you can respond in a loving way. I know it's early in the morning, but come on, I know you're following this, right? All right, so number 1, your first transformational tip is this. All right, I want you to keep track of your judgmental thoughts that you have on a daily basis, okay? Now, being aware of this judging habit, what it's going to do is going to help you consult your loving presence whenever those judgmental thoughts surface, okay? Because again, a lot of times when we're communicating with people, remember, I was talking earlier about a response to you based upon your communication, but keep in mind this also applies to you, meaning that you also may respond in a cry, in a loving way or a cry for help, and it's based upon your interpretation from deletion, distortion, or generalizing the information. Okay, so keep track of your judgmental thoughts, and in that way, when it comes up, you can consult a loving presence so that you can respond in a loving way. Okay, so that's tip number 1. Number 2 is to give more of yourself and ask less in return. All right, so by making serving others a priority, you can ask the universe on a daily basis, how may I serve you? With that attitude of serving others, then obviously that's going to elicit a loving response, even if it's not from that other person. Because keep in mind, guys, when it comes to communication, you can't control what other people, what their interpretation is. The only thing that you can control is your ability to try to communicate more effectively. Okay, so you can't control their response, but you can control you. And that brings us to the tip number 3. Your third transformation tip is to always respond in a loving way. Okay, always respond in a loving way. And think this. Remember, I asked you the first time I have to think another question or ask another question to yourself. Think this question, and sometimes when appropriately, say it out loud. How can I make you feel better? Okay, so in other words, 2 questions you're going to ask yourself when someone's responding to you in other than a loving way. You're going to say, what's going on with this person that's making him or her treat me this way? And that's going to help you get into the mindset of, oh, I need to have compassion. And then when you get ready to respond back to them, think, how can I make you feel better? Like, what can I say to make you feel better? And then sometimes when it's appropriate, say that out loud. Like if it's someone that you love, like you're not going to go to a stranger, or maybe you will, depending on your personality. Well, how can I make you feel better? Okay, so think about that. Now, when you commit to communicate effectively, what you're going to find is that your life is going to change forever. All right, so remember, communicate effectively, that usually involves responding in a loving way, because again, you're trying to convey, communication about you conveying your thoughts, your intentions, your objectives, right? So how can you convey that in a loving way? And even if you don't get the response that you desire, your response to that response should be one of love. And I guarantee you, love wins, okay? In all situations, love will win. All right, so I hope this information was useful to you. Guys, please share this information if you know there's someone that needs to hear this. And I know you do, because, you know, again, communication is not, we're not always receiving the response that we want. So this is going to help you to come about it with passion, okay? And one of service to other people. All right, so that concludes our mind portion. Now we're going to transition over to our body portion, where we're going to be doing a 5-minute yoga routine. And then from there, we're going to go on to the meditation. So how are you guys doing this lovely Wednesday? Not Wednesday, is Thursday. Oh my gosh. Happy Thursday to you. I'm like backtracking. That's right, I didn't do live yesterday. Guys, I apologize for that. I was, something was going on and I wasn't able to do the live, but I'm here this morning. I'm happy to see you. Now, as I'm transitioning over to the yoga, I wanted to kind of give you an example of this communication, how it can be complicated. And I got to try to talk fast because I have a little way to go before I transition to the other side. Make sure I have everything. Okay, so yesterday I posted a note to self on my social media. And the note, was it yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. It was the day before yesterday. I posted on my social media. It was a note to self that says, it wasn't a note to self. Sorry, trying to light early. It was actually a note that something that said to the fact that the road less traveled is not going to be smooth. So I had several responses. Wait, was that the one I'm talking about? Yes, the road to travel is not going to be smooth. So I had several responses on one of my social media sites, and one of them, one of the girls said, she mentioned something that if the road is not traveled, it should be smooth because no one's been on it. So I just wrote back, you're right. And so then it was another exchange where her response was something to the fact that reread what I wrote, because obviously, it's contradicting what you said. So then I responded to her. My response to her was one that I was agreeing. What did I say? I started off by saying, if you believe you're right, if you believe you're right, then you are. And that's what I was responding to. So that's why I let her know. Like, I wasn't necessarily agreeing with what her response was. I was agreeing that she believed her response was right. So if she believed she was right, then she's right. So see how, communication can just be complicated. And this wasn't one that wasn't a cry for help or anything. This was a loving response on both ends. But again, it still got complicated because she thought I was agreeing that her response was correct. And I was like, no, I was just agreeing with you because you believe your response was correct. And, if you believe it's correct, who am I to tell you your response is not correct? All right, so anyway, that's just a little bit something about communication. It can be very, very complicated, I tell you. And I know you know. I know you know. All right, so anyway, so let's kind of transition ourselves into the mind body portion. So we're going to get yourself centered, grounded, and aligned. So go ahead and take your 3 deep Ujjayi breaths. And then also make sure that you set your intentions on what it is that you want to accomplish for this next 5 minutes during this practice of yoga. And then go ahead and meet me on the mat. All right, so we're going to come to tabletop. Palms directly underneath your shoulders, knees directly underneath your hips, head a natural extension of your spine. Hopefully you're already grounded, centered, and aligned, and you set your intention on what it is that you want to accomplish for this next 5 minutes. Go ahead and draw your breath in as you take a deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, I want you to drop your chin down to your chest, round through your spine, and tuck your tailbone under. And as you inhale, your head and chest comes forward, your belly button drops down toward the mat. Tailbone sticks out to the back of the room, and as you exhale, round through the spine, tuck your tailbone under. Love this cat-cow. Do first thing in the morning. Just overall feels good in addition to warming up and limbering up your core muscles. Take one more deep breath, inhaling. And then this time as we exhale, we're just going to return back to the tabletop and just come to your neutral spine. We're going to start off with a nice balancing pose from the tabletop. So draw your breath in on the inhale. And then as you exhale, I want you to extend that right arm and also lift up that left leg. Now when it comes to balancing pose, it's very helpful for you to find just one focal point, like down in the center of the mat, or just like right in natural, keep your head in natural alignment of the spine. And then just concentrate on that one spot. And as you exhale, opposite side. Now if you start to waver, like if you don't have the balance, then you can either lower your hand or your feet or both. But just try to get a nice long extension from the fingertips all the way down to the toes. Let's do that again. Remember, the movement is on the exhale. So as you exhale, extend the right arm and the left leg. Try to keep that shoulder down away from your ears. Again, just focus on that focal point. Just find one spot and just really concentrate on that one spot. Make sure your core is tight, belly button's in toward your spine. And continue your nice deep Ujjayi breaths. All right, now we're going to go ahead and thread the needle. So take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, we're going to take that right arm, palm comes up, and I want you to extend it all the way, and you're going to bring it toward me as your left arm kind of goes out, and then just kind of take your body down toward the mat. Tailbone sticks out toward the back of the room, and continue to breathe nice, deep Ujjayi breaths. All right, go ahead and take it back up. And as you exhale, opposite arm. This should feel really good first thing in the morning. And release. Now draw the breath in. And this time as we exhale, I want you to walk your palms out as you lower your chest down toward the mat for an extended puppy pose. And just press your shoulder blades down toward the mat. Nice deep Ujjayi breaths. All right. Walk the palms in, curl the toes under, and take it to downward facing dog. And then start to pedal your legs. In this Adho Mukha Savasana, you want to make sure that you're pressing your chest toward your thighs and your knees. Your head stays in alignment with your bicep. Try to get those heels down if you can. If not, don't worry about it. Now as we inhale, draw the knees down toward the mat, and as you exhale, extend the legs. Press your chest toward your thighs and your knees. Let's do it again. As you inhale, draw the knees down to the mat, and as you exhale, extend the legs. One more time. Draw the knees down, and as you exhale, extend the legs. Now this time you're going to release the knees all the way back down toward the mat. And then you're going to cross your ankles, either right over left or left over right, doesn't really matter. And then you're going to kind of transition yourself to a seated position, but facing forward. Now, I cross my leg right over left, so I'm going to take my right leg and I'm going to put my ankle over that left thigh. And I'm going to make sure I'm sitting up nice and tall and off on my sits bones, off the fleshy part of my bottom. I'm going to take the right arm behind, take this left arm, take the tricep and press on the other part of that right knee, and I'm going to look over that right shoulder. Just a nice spinal twist here, a little side twist. And then release. Now I'm going to switch legs. And again, as you're twisting, you're breathing. Nice deep Ujjayi breaths. And then go ahead and release. All right, go ahead and bring the soles of your feet together. And again, sit up nice and tall. This time as you breathe, you're going to lift up your chest and you're going to press your elbows down on those thighs as you try to open up those hip flexors. You know, I like to end in a pose that kind of opens up the hip flexors, because as we sit down, which we do a majority of portion of our day for some of us, our hip flexors get tight. And so this is a good way to open them up. All right, go ahead and release. All right, go ahead and cross your legs, right over left or left over right. Sit nice and tall, fingertips down toward the mat. As we inhale, we're going to take the arms up overhead. And as we exhale, release the fingertips down toward the mat. Do it again, nice deep breath. Inhaling. And exhale. One more time, nice deep breath. Inhale and bring in all that positive energy. This time we're going to greet the palms together at the very top. As we exhale, bring the palms all the way down to the heart center. And namaste. All right, thank you for taking the time to practice yoga with me. Now this brings us to our third and final exercise, which is going to be the meditation. So feel free to stay in your seated position, or if you're just joining me and you're sitting in the chair, again, make sure that you have your shoes off so that your feet are nice and grounded to the earth. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a 2-minute breathing exercise. I'm going to turn this on now. Wait a second here. We're going to be doing a 2-minute breathing meditation exercise. It's going to be based upon your breath. And so what we're going to be doing is you're going to be breathing normally for 2 minutes. You're not going to manipulate your breath in any shape, form, or fashion. You're just going to breathe normally. And what you're going to do is as you're breathing, you're going to count your exhales. Now, during this breathing, during this 2 minutes, at any time if you become distracted by either outside noises or internal noises known as thoughts, what I want you to do is I want you to acknowledge the distraction and then bring your focus back to your breathing. Begin counting again, but just start all over with a count of 1, okay? So before we get started, got all these pop-ups going on. Before we get started, we're going to make sure that we're centered, grounded, and aligned, that you set your intention. And the good intention to have would be for you to keep your focus for this next 2 minutes, so keeping your focus on your breath for the next 2 minutes. All right, go ahead and take a nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Again, deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. One more time, nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose. And this time as you exhale, I want you to go ahead and close your eyes and begin your counting. go ahead and release, relax, return, refreshed, and calm. You've done something good for yourself today. Thank you for taking the time to meditate with me, and also thank you for taking the time to watch this Transform Yourself in 15 minutes. Your word for today is thankful, okay? So I want you to have a day filled with thanks, and I'd be thankful if you share this with your family and your friends. Guys, I'll see you again same time tomorrow. Bye.